So today we'll continue our discussion about glomerulonephritis. Yesterday, as I was telling you about what happens in glomerulonephritis and how damage to GBM progresses into glomerulonephritis. So just to show you a picture so that you have a clear understanding of what is going on. See, if you look closely, right, this is a part of a glomerulus that you are seeing, and in this you'll be able to see the vertical endothelium of the capillary, okay, the yellowish part where you have your RBCs and your proteins and blood flowing, okay, under that. Then we have, that is a part of your glomerular tuft, okay, and we have under that is the glomerular basement membrane, which is called GBM. Under that will be your podocytes, the green colored structures that you are seeing, those are podocytes. Okay, these three filters make sure that proteins do not get lost, at least significant protein is not lost in your urine. All right, that is their primary function, and it is also making sure that other large components that are important for your body are not lost. Another mechanisms through which, not just having small pores so that only specific material can pass through, it will also have a negative charge. Okay, so if you look around GBM and your endothelium, so if I have, let's suppose, endothelial cells layer like this, okay, and I have GBM under that, which is like this. GBM will have very small pores, okay, smaller than the pores in endothelium. Then we have your podocytes, okay, something like this. These will make sure that a lot of large particles remain in blood. Plus, they have something of a negative charge on their surface. Okay, GBM has it, as well as endothelium has it. This makes sure that proteins, especially albumin and globulin, do not get passed through. These are the two mechanisms. Having small fenestrations. Fenestrations are openings. Okay, so they have small fenestrations, small fenestrations, and they have a negative charge. Okay, so they have a negative charge. Now both of this make sure that protein is not lost. Now let's suppose, because of whatever reason, let's suppose there is a damage to glomerular basement membrane, or because of a systemic condition there is damage to your glomeruli. In any case, let's suppose it starts off with slight damage to your endothelium and to your GBM, because of which, let's suppose, the holes which are here are getting slightly bigger. Okay, and it is just enough to allow albumin through. Okay, albumin is smaller than globulin. Globulin is a bigger protein, albumin is a smaller protein. So what happens is, if this hole becomes larger and accompanied with that, this negative charge is not strong enough, what will happen is albumin will start leaking out into your urine. Normally you should not have significant amount of protein in your urine, almost less than proteinuria will be any condition which has more than 3.5 grams per day. 3.5 grams per day of protein is lost in urine, वो condition को proteinuria बोलते. Normally the amount of protein that should be lost in your urine negligible रहता, 0.5 के around रहता, 0.5 grams per day. This is normal. Okay, if it is going beyond 3.5, then it is a big problem. Now let's suppose it is starting off with only albumin. Okay, this is mild selective proteinuria. Selective proteinuria. Okay, just to recap, what is happening is, in your endothelium, that is your glomerular tuft endothelium, and your GBM, the negative charge stopped working properly, so there is not enough charge there, and there are bigger fenestrations being opened. Okay, the holes in your GBM and the endothelium are getting slightly big. Because of that, albumin is able to pass through your urine, or albumin is able to pass through your glomerulus and enter your urine. Okay, this will bump this up. Okay, if albumin starts getting excreted in urine, this will slightly go up. Okay, let's suppose at this point of time 1.5 grams of protein is being lost in a day, and the major protein that is being lost is albumin. This is selective proteinuria. At this condition, you will not have a major problem, but still it is of some concern. Okay, it indicates that there is some glomerular damage. Okay, I hope you guys are following along. Now, at one point of time, what will happen is these holes that are present here, these holes that I drew initially, they will become even bigger. Meaning, let's suppose I'm using orange now. These are becoming even more bigger. Okay, it happens all over your this thing. See, selective proteinuria can also be of two types, in the sense that let's suppose those small holes are present which only let albumin pass through, but if there are several of those small holes, it can lead to heavy proteinuria. That is one way. Okay? Or it can simply cause larger holes to be formed. Okay, if larger holes or larger fenestrations are formed, both albumin and globulin will be lost. Meaning this, in both of those conditions, what will happen is this 1.5 grams will start going towards 3.5. A lot of protein will start being lost. Okay? As a lot of protein is being lost, what will happen is this condition will now be called non-selective one second, let me just type it down, it will be easier. This is called non-selective proteinuria. Okay, selective proteinuria का मतलब है only albumin is being lost. Non-selective proteinuria, it is the result of heavier damage to your endothelium, the endothelium of a glomerular duct, and damage to your glomerular basement membrane, plus the loss of negative charge in both of those membranes, because of which both albumin and globulin are being lost in urine. Okay, I hope you guys are following along till here. What is happening? If you want me to repeat, please let me know. This condition where you are having what you call both albumin and globulin being lost together is called non-selective proteinuria. Now, there can be some ways through which non-selective proteinuria becomes heavy proteinuria, or proper proteinuria, where you have 3.5 grams of protein being lost per day. ये कब होता? दो कंडीशंस में हो सकता. It can be either selective or non-selective. ठीक है? Non-selective कैसा रहता? Obviously, albumin and globulin both are being lost in large amounts. Then you will have what you call heavy protein loss. Second way, ठीक है, I hope you guys are following along. यहाँ पर second way, let's suppose छोटा ही hole है, which is only allowing albumin but is not allowing globulin. ठीक है, this is a very small hole through which only albumin can go. But let's suppose there are a lot of such holes. ठीक है, let's suppose instead of around 10-20 holes being present in each glomerulus, there are around 150 holes present in each glomerulus. ठीक है, fenestrations being opened in each glomerulus. Because of that, what happens is heavy amounts of albumin will be lost now. This can also lead to heavy proteinuria. ठीक है, both of those conditions, both of those ways, you can have heavy proteinuria in a patient. It can be either selective or it can be non-selective. Okay. Now, यहाँ से क्या होता? As proteins are being lost, your liver gets hyperactivated. ठीक है, liver को क्या होता? Normally, liver is responsible for the formation of albumin and globulin. See, liver is able to produce around 12 grams of protein in a day. Okay, now the question arises, if your liver is able to produce 12 grams per day and you're only losing 3.5 grams per day, why does it make such a big difference? Problem kahan aata? You have certain cells in your PCT. Okay, if we look around your glomerulus, yahan se you have PCT, right? Proximal convoluted tubule. Now, normally the cells of your PCT are responsible for absorbing several things. They are responsible for absorbing amino acids, they are responsible for absorbing glucose and a bunch of things. यहाँ पर क्या होता? Whenever protein is being lost, even if it is a little amount of protein, let's suppose you are seeing 1.5 grams of protein being lost in urine per day. You take a patient's urine sample and you check their urine and you find that the patient is losing 1.5 grams of protein per day. This is not the real loss of protein in that patient, because PCT के जो cells रहते हैं, the epithelial cells, they have a tendency to absorb protein inside them. meaning the real loss that is occurring, meaning the real amount of protein that is coming to your glomeruli and passing through is more than 1.5. ठीक है, let's suppose आपके पास 2.5 grams of albumin is being lost. Let's suppose it is selective protein urea and around 2.5, I'm just abbreviating it as SP, selective protein urea. 2.5 grams of albumin is being lost here, selective है ना. यहाँ पर क्या होता, and in your urine you're only seeing 1.5, hence you're not as alarmed, moderate ही है बोल रहा हूँ मैं, ठीक है. That is because the cells of your PCT tend to absorb around 1 gram of protein. At least that is the difference. I'm only giving you an example, okay? PCT cells are absorbing 1 gram per day. As this keeps going up, and let's suppose at one point of time this becomes non-selective to the point that the total urine that you are seeing in urine, total protein that you are seeing in urine is around 3.5 grams per day, or it is more than 3.5 grams per day. Let's suppose it is 3.8 grams per day. This basically indicates that there is more than 3.8 grams of protein being lost in your urine, because the amount of protein that is absorbed by your PCT cells will also increase. समझ में आ रहा? It is not just that protein is being not just the loss of protein that is being seen in the urine, but is also what you call PCT cells that are absorbing it and breaking it out. In any case, what is happening is proteins are being lost out of your blood, and over uh, see, if you are having around 3.8 grams of protein in a day, it is safe to say that you have around 5 to 6 grams of protein being lost every day in your blood. You are only seeing 3.8 grams in urine. The rest of the amount is being absorbed by PCT cells. It can be more, it can be less. More often than not, it is more. Okay, it is generally 3.5 to 6 or 7 also. Okay, that is alarming because your liver is only able to produce 12 grams per day. This will create a significant deficit. Okay, I hope you guys are following along till here what is happening. This is a little complicated, but please feel free to ask me doubts if you're not understanding. Okay, now यहाँ तक आपका क्या हो रहा, severe protein urea हो रहा, ठीक है, a lot of protein is being lost. What happens? अब आपका liver जो है is responsible for the production of a lot of proteins and a lot of substances. Whenever it senses that a lot of protein is being lost from the blood, it will amp up its activity. It will become hyperactive and it will start producing all sorts of proteins and all sorts of enzymes. Because of that, what will happen is in blood, you will be seeing a spike in albumin and you will see a spike in globulin. But this is a very short term spike because as albumin and globulin are increasing, they are being lost in urine. ठीक है, problem यही आ रहा, their excretion has increased because even if your liver is increasing its production, it is there is a limit to which how much your liver can produce. Your liver can only produce around 12 grams per day, not more than that. ठीक है, as more and more protein is being lost in urine, even if your liver is making more proteins, which is albumin and globulin, they are being lost in your urine. Along with that, your liver will also produce clotting proteins, clotting factors specifically. You know what clotting factors are, ठीक है. Clotting factors अगर बढ़ गए blood में, तो the what your blood will become hypercoagulable. There will be higher chance of blood clots being formed, ठीक है. That will happen along with this, and AST and ALT both will go up, ठीक है, because liver is hyperactive. Everything that liver is producing will become extra. Okay, all the hormones that liver can produce, it will produce in excessive. Basically liver is going into hyperactivity and it is producing everything double or triple. That is when it is basically trying to make up the protein level in your blood, but it is not able to control the loss in urine. That is why what is happening is the other proteins that are being formed in your urine, uh, being formed in by your liver, will start getting accumulated in your blood. Now the result will be that the first condition, the patient will become hypercoagulable. Hypercoagulability. ठीक है, मतलब patient will clot very easily. Another thing, अब आपको पता है in your blood, let's suppose, one second, let me use a different color. Let's suppose this is a standard blood vessel. नहीं तो मैं capillary उतार देता तो easy रहता. One second. So let's suppose this is a blood capillary. Okay, let's suppose this is a blood capillary and you have on one end the arteriolar end. Okay, and you have the venular end. Okay, arteriole and venule hai, and this is the lymph capillary that is present in your interstitial space, or this is the part of your tissue. ठीक है, ये tissue space है. Now you know normally whenever blood is coming into your arteriole, यहाँ से oxygenated blood आ रहा, ठीक है, O2 containing, O2 and nutrient containing blood, it will come to the capillary. Those nutrients and oxygen will get exchanged. So let's suppose these black dots are those nutrients and oxygen. They will start getting diffused into the tissue space. ठीक है, along with that, you know there is something called osmotic and hydrostatic pressures. What are osmotic and hydrostatic pressures? Osmotic pressure will make sure that blood volume is maintained. It will make sure that blood is present inside the blood capillary. Okay? Osmotic pressure is making sure that blood is coming inside here. Hydrostatic pressure will do the opposite. Hydrostatic pressure in the blood vessel will make sure that fluid is going out. Now, generally at your arteriolar end, your hydrostatic pressure is slightly higher than your osmotic pressure. Whereas on your venular end, your osmotic pressure and your hydrostatic pressure are somewhat equal. Okay? Osmotic pressure is trying to keep blood inside, or it is trying to keep fluid inside, whereas hydrostatic pressure is trying to push fluid outside. Okay, I hope you guys are following along what is happening. Please feel free to ask me doubts. Agar if you want me to repeat also, it is fine. I'll repeat again. अब यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा, hydrostatic pressure ज़्यादा है arteriolar end पे, meaning what will happen is slowly a little bit of fluid will start seeping out of your blood vessel. So a little bit of fluid will start entering your tissue space. थोड़ा थोड़ा enter होता. Okay, this is fine. Normally what happens is, even if you have higher hydrostatic pressure on the right end towards the arteriole, and you have lower hydrostatic pressure, relatively lower hydrostatic pressure on your venular end, technically speaking, water or fluid should start filling up into your tissue, because ek end pe you are losing water and ek end pe there is balance, meaning the net result will be that water should be lost. But you have something called lymph capillaries. Okay, these lymph capillaries will make sure that whatever small amount of protein that is being lost through your endothelial wall, the wall of your blood vessel, and the fluid that is being lost, excessive fluid that is being lost through your blood vessel, that is sent back into your venular end. Okay, this is how normalcy of your blood volume is maintained, so that your blood volume is properly around 5 liters. Okay, kam nahi hota. Even if a little bit of water is coming out into tissue space, it is being thrown back into your venule through your lymph capillaries. Now we have us, I hope yahan tak samajh mein aaya. This is only basic physiology. Okay, what is happening in your blood vessel at the capillary end. Now in case of glomerulonephritis, or let's suppose in case of heavy proteinuria, ठीक है, proteinuria क्या है, आपके proteins बहुत चले आ रहे हैं urine में. There's a lot of loss of proteins in your urine. So let's suppose I draw proteins in this color. Which color should I use? Let's suppose pink, right? Let's suppose these are the proteins that are present in your blood capillaries. Now osmotic pressure heavily relies on the components of your blood to make sure that fluid is retained inside. Okay, you need to have something inside your blood. See, if you remember osmosis, you need to have some solute in a solution so that water can be placed inside it and it can stay there. Okay, if there is a significant difference in the amount of solute from one membrane to the other, let's suppose मैं एक ऐसा चेम्बर लिया एंड इसमें थोड़े पार्टिकल्स डाला, एक 5 पार्टिकल्स डाला एंड इसमें 20 पार्टिकल्स डाला, more number of particles. Water will obviously move from A has fewer particles, B has more particles. Water will move from A to B. ठीक है, यहाँ पर in your blood those particles that are making sure that the balance is maintained so that a lot of water is not being lost are proteins. Proteins are large structures which will help maintain osmotic pressure. In case of proteinuria, what is happening now? These proteins are being lost. Matlab the number of protein that is present in your blood will be lower, significantly lower. Because of this, what happens? Osmotic pressure is not able to maintain. So क्या होता? More and more fluid will start moving out of your vertical, out of your blood vessels. This will create a condition called generalized edema. To a to an extent that it will be present all over your body and it will lead to a condition called anascara. Anascara is when the whole body becomes puffy. ठीक है? I'll repeat once again. Listen carefully. यहाँ पर in your blood vessel, if I take the example of a capillary, on your arteriolar end, this is the arteriolar end, ठीक है? And this is your venular end, the place where venule will basically collect the waste of your tissues, and arteriole is where oxygen and nutrients are being thrown into your tissues or being supplied to your tissues. Now you have two pressures that are maintaining the fluid balance in your blood vessel or at the level of your capillary. Those are osmotic pressure and hydrostatic pressure. It is present all over your body. Generally speaking, in the arteriolar end, osmotic pressure is slightly lower than hydrostatic pressure. Osmotic pressure will make sure that fluid is present inside the blood vessel. Hydrostatic pressure will make sure that fluid is thrown out of the blood vessel. Okay, they are opposite forces. At arteriolar end, your hydrostatic pressure is slightly more than your osmotic pressure, because of which the net fluid that is being present in your blood vessel and tissue space, there is a loss of that blood. There is a net loss of fluid. Matlab more amount of fluid and a little bit of protein is also lost into your tissue space. But this is not a big problem because you will have lymph capillaries near your venular end, which will make sure that whatever extra amount of vertical fluid and protein is present, that is being thrown back into your blood vessel, so that blood volume is always maintained. Now, in case of proteinuria, especially heavy proteinuria, what happens is the amount of protein that is present in a person's blood will significantly decrease. This protein was making sure that osmotic pressure is there. The osmotic pressure significantly relies on the amount of protein present in your blood to keep the water or fluid intact into your blood vessel. अब ये protein level अगर कम हो गया, osmotic pressure will go down, it will plummet. Okay, it will become very, very low, meaning more and more amount of fluid is being lost. Okay, here, other than that, at venular level, the same is happening. Osmotic pressure is not able to maintain here. यहाँ पर भी proteins नहीं है, मतलब osmotic pressure नहीं रहता. Even if lymph is trying to send that fluid back, there is a net increase in the amount of fluid that is present in your tissue space. That creates a condition of general edema, to a condition called anascara, where there is severe edema all over your body. Okay, I hope yes, समझ में आया. If you have doubts or if you want me to repeat, please let me know. नहीं, पूरों को समझ में आया? Okay. Now, along with heavy proteinuria, you have, so we have three particular symptoms. Okay, we have heavy proteinuria, then we have hypoproteinemia, decreased amount of protein in blood, proteinemia, and we have generalized edema. Okay, this condition where you have these three significant vertical problems is called nephrotic syndrome. Okay, where a patient is having generalized edema, they have hypoproteinemia and they have heavy proteinuria. Sometimes, now what happens from here is, along with heavy proteinuria, RBCs are lost in your urine. So at one point of time, what will happen is those fenestrations which we made or which were caused in your GBM and in your endothelial space, they'll become slightly bigger, and there will be significant damage wherein RBCs will start being lost, and those RBCs will not be able to move out of that GBM and out of those fenestrations properly. Let's suppose आपका hole इतना है, those fenestrations are this much in size, and you have an RBC which is of this size. Now what will happen is these RBCs will wiggle their way out. Okay, they will try to stuff themselves in, and the end result will be that the RBC's shape will get distorted. It will come out, but its shape will get distorted. They will look star shaped. Okay, somewhat like stars. You will have a lot of RBCs, so you will start having hematuria. Okay, blood cells being lost in your urine, and the RBCs that you see will be star shaped. Along with this, what you see is, because of generalized edema, there is a lot of pressure being created in your glomerulus and in your interstitial space. Because of that, what will happen is, at your tubular level, in your tubule, PCT, DCT, or Jobiloa, these RBCs will start getting stacked over each other. So these star-shaped RBCs will literally get compressed on each other, making a small cylindrical shape. Okay, let's suppose you take a small blob of clay, you take a small ball of clay, and you try to stuff it into a tube. What will happen? It will take the shape of the tube, right? Yeah, but same thing is happening, because this tube has RBCs present in them, these star-shaped RBCs. Due to increased pressure, these RBCs will clump together, and they will literally act like clay, and they will what you call form casts. Okay. If someone has had a fracture anytime, or if you have seen a person with a fracture, you know what is a cast. Okay. कास्ट बोलते हैं उसको, the cylindrical tube that you put over the person's broken limb. ठीक है, let's suppose forearm fracture हुआ या shin fracture हुआ, whatever, you put a cast around their leg, right? Let's suppose this is their leg, and you are putting a cast around their leg like this. ठीक है, just to make sure that nothing is moving around like this. Now you will see RBC casts, because they are getting compressed, and they are taking the shape of the tubule. That is one sign. So you start seeing RBC casts, plus you start seeing vertical star-shaped RBCs or dysmorphic RBCs बोलते हैं लोगों को. They are losing their shape. That is why dysmorphic. अच्छा. Now along with this, what happens is a lot of edema is occurring. अब generalized edema हो रहा बोले तो blood volume is significantly decreasing, no? If there is a lot of edema, it basically indicates that a lot of blood fluid that is present in your blood, that is being lost. That basically decreases your blood pressure. Whenever blood volume decreases, blood pressure decreases. If blood pressure decreases, your body will immediately start producing a lot of renin. Okay? Increased production of renin will cause aldosterone to be released, and it will directly cause vasoconstriction. In turn, both of them leading to hypertension. ठीक है, aldosterone will in turn cause sodium and water reabsorption, whereas what do you call vasoconstriction will lead to hypertension. Even aldosterone will cause that. See, even if you have aldosterone, let's suppose aldosterone है आपके blood में, and it is going and acting on your kidney and causing sodium and water retention. The problem here is that water is being lost into your body, into your tissue space, because there is no protein to hold that water inside. So even if you start increasing water retention in your body, you will not see an increase in blood pressure because of this, but you will see an increase in blood pressure because of increased amount of sodium. Increased amount of sodium, increased amount of increased vasoconstriction. Both of them will lead to hypertension and increase in edema. Edema will become worse because water is being reabsorbed, but it is not able to stay inside your blood vessel. That is being lost in your tissue. See, main problem was protein is being lost. Because protein is being lost, hypoproteinemia हो रहा. Hypoproteinemia हो रहा बोले तो you do not have anything to hold water inside your blood vessel, because of which water is being lost into your tissue space. Now, even if renin is working and aldosterone is coming into picture, even if it is causing sodium and water retention, water will not be able to stay in your blood vessel for a long period of time, and it will not be able to make any differences on your blood pressure. But With sodium, you have, with water you have sodium being what you call pumped inside, and you have what you call this thing, you have vasoconstriction, because of which blood pressure will increase, your heart will also start beating faster. Okay, to make up for that. Now, along with this, you will have oliguria and azotemia. As this damage keeps on increasing, at one point of time, what will happen is immune complexes will come into picture. Okay, immunity kicks in, and it will recognize that there is significant damage, and immune complexes are formed, and those immunoglobulins will go to your glomeruli, and they will start an inflammatory reaction. As they are starting an inflammatory reaction, they will literally clog those holes. So those fenestrations which were created in your, let's suppose ये आपका GBM है, 1 second, let's suppose this is the GBM and this is the endothelial that was present here. ठीक है, and these are your podocytes. ठीक है, main problem आ रहा था, और it started with fenestrations becoming bigger or more in number. ठीक है, because of which proteinuria was occurring. अब क्या होता, because of inflammatory damage, let's suppose there is a lot of inflammation here, inflammation of your glomeruli, acute inflammatory reaction, these holes will start getting blocked. Okay, they will start getting filled up with monocytes, lymphocytes, leukocytes, all the inflammatory cells, and they will literally get blocked to a certain extent, because of which what will happen is the amount of proteinuria you are having will decrease. So proteinuria will decrease, protein loss will decrease in urine, and along with that RBC loss will be decreased. So hematuria will not be as significant, but it will be okay, thoda bahut rehta. So the patient has at this point hematuria. These immune complexes can also start damaging your glomeruli, because of which also hematuria can continue. They will start damaging the wall of your glomerulus, they'll start damaging GBM, they'll start damaging your RBC, what do you call, your blood vessel endothelium, your glomerular tuft endothelium, because of which hematuria continues. You will still see RBC casts, and you will see dysmorphic RBCs, RBC which have lost their shape. Okay? So hematuria हो रहा, decreased amount of protein हो रहा. Whenever protein loss decreases, and it is basically blocking your glomeruli, at one point of time it will start interfering with urea and creatinine excretion. Now in your blood vessel, normally whatever urea is present, that is supposed to be lost through your glomeruli in your urine, but because these areas are being clogged like this, urea starts getting accumulated inside your blood, and it will lead to a condition called azotemia. It will initially cause uremia, then it will cause azotemia. Azotemia plus the total amount of urine that is being formed in the patient will decrease, so it will cause oliguria. So we have hematuria, we have oliguria and azotemia. Along with that, we have hypertension. The patient still has hypertension. This condition where the patient is having hematuria, hypertension and azotemia along with oliguria is called nephritic syndrome. Nephritic syndrome is a problem where inflammation is coming into picture, and we are progressing into a higher grade than nephrotic syndrome. Glomerulonephritis, the condition that you have, will be a combination of nephrotic and nephritic syndrome. That was the story behind all of this, what I taught you today. ठीक है, glomerulonephritis में दोनों nephrotic and nephritic syndrome रहते हैं. Tomorrow I'll go over a little bit more about how azotemia and oliguria will go, and we'll get into the proper thick of glomerulonephritis.